Good morning, and thank you for tuning in. My name's Jack College with all your daily news needs on 92.3 WIL. To start off this wonderful morning, let's take a short trip all the way over to the far land of Kabul to learn what happened there recently. On Tuesday, February 2nd, 2017, a suicide bomber targeted a Supreme Court building in the Afghan capital, killing a minimum of 19. It has been said that altogether there were 41 people wounded from this bomber. The explosion went off near a side door, which court employees use for entry and exit each day. Nahab Danish, a deputy spokesman for the Interior Ministry, told ABC News, "Not all victims have been identified yet, but an investigation is underway." The suicide bomber was on foot and detonated his suicide vest near the employees and other bystanders as they were exiting the main building of the court. Nobody or group have yet claimed responsibility for these attacks, but Taliban insurgents have attacked the top court employees in the past. It has not been said what the main motives were, but it is clear they were trying to take out government officials. Now that we know what has been happening in foreign countries, let's come back home to let's see what's been happening in our home country. In New York City on Monday, February 6, 2017, New Yorkers on the subway worked together to scrub away hateful Nazi graffiti. Gregory Locke said it was a normal Saturday afternoon. He had just had dinner with some friends and was getting ready to go home. Upon boarding the number 1 subway train, he knew something was up. He said that everyone was sitting there with their eyes wide open, and he didn't know why until the doors have closed behind him. Gregory Locke had told CNN someone had used a Sharpie to scrawl swastikas and hate-filled graffiti all over the subway car. Some of the things said were, "Jews belong in the oven, destroy Islam, and also Hail Hitler." While everyone just sat in the train car, he didn't know what to do, until one man with a huge effort stood up and put a stop to what was happening. Jared Need had stood up and announced that hand sanitizer would get rid of the Sharpie marks. Everybody at once started to dig through all their bags and purses and to find hand sanitizer so they could remove the hate from the windows. It was reported that all the markings on the windows were removed within minutes. The New York Police Department said that the graffiti was being investigated as a possible bias-motivated incident, although police have not yet identified a suspect. Now that we know that there are still good people in the world and people will stand up for what's right, let's hear what's been happening right near our hometown. On Monday, January 6, 2017, a man in Barnes Jewish Hospital jumped off the medical building balcony to his death. The man who had decided to jump off the building's atrium floor was not a patient of the hospital. He was said to be a visitor. The police had reported to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. The man was 64 years old and had plunged from an upper floor balcony of the building's atrium onto the open floor of the coffee shop level. He was pronounced dead at the scene shortly after 11 a.m. Police had also said that they are going to investigate the case, but it seems that the motive of the man was just to take his own life. Barnes Jewish medical personnel tried to respond and treat the man, but they were too late. Before we move on to our latest weather and sports, let's hear a short word from our sponsor. Are you sick of being stuck inside during the winter? Do you not have the proper equipment to enjoy both cold and warm weather? Well, come on down to Bass Pro Shops where we have everything you need for your one-of-a-kind outdoor exploration. Here at Bass Pro Shops, we provide a huge selection of hunting, fishing, camping, ATV, boating, supplies, and anything else you can need to get your outdoor adventure started. So come on down to your local Bass Pro Shop so we can meet all your outdoor needs. Welcome back. Now for scores from last night's games. For the sports scores this week, ESPN reported to us that the Los Angeles Lakers beat the New York Knicks in a game of 121-107. That Cleveland Cavaliers took away a W over the Washington Wizards in an overtime game ending in a score of 140-135. We have Oklahoma City losing to the Indiana Pacers with a final score of 93-90. For NFL scores this week, the Super Bowl, we had the New England Patriots beating the Atlanta Falcons in an overtime Super Bowl game with the final score of 34-28. Now for hockey, we have Buffalo Sabres losing to the New Jersey Devils in a 2-1 game. The Toronto Maple Leafs lose to the New York Islanders in a game of 6-5, and our own St. Louis Blues beating the Philadelphia Flyers in a shutout game with a final score of 2-0. That's all we have for sports. Next, let's look at this week's weather. Starting off Thursday, February 9th, 2017, we have a mostly cloudy forecast with a high of 34 and a low of 27. Friday is partially cloudy with a high of 61 and a low of 48. Saturday is a cloudy forecast with a high of 66 and a low of 57 with a 20% chance of rain. Finishing off this week, Sunday is a cloudy day with a low chance of rain and a high of 58 and a low of 34. Looking into next week and finishing off our 5-day forecast, Monday is looking partially cloudy skies for the day with a high of 52 and a low of 33. As we wrap up all of our daily news broadcasts, I ask you to please keep this week's weather in mind for possible travel and outdoor activities. Thank you for listening with us this morning. It has been a pleasure of mine to spend my morning talking to you. That's all the news we have for today. Tune in tomorrow for more. My name is Jack College from 92.3 WRL. Have a great day, St. Louis.